By the end of this episode, you'll understand how one man, born in obscurity, redefined the very structure of society. How Karl Marx, a restless thinker from 19th century Europe, turned history itself into a science. He wasn't just a philosopher. He was a revolutionary of the mind, a man who looked at the world and declared, "The philosophers have only interpreted the world. The point, however, is to change it." To understand Karl Marx, we need to travel back to the smoke-choked streets of industrial Europe, where factories roared like beasts, and the sky was painted black with progress. Karl Marx was born in 1818 in Trier, a quiet German town of law, faith and tradition. His father was a lawyer, his grandfathers were rabbis. He was raised between reason and religion and questioned both. By 17, Marx was restless, brilliant, intense and disillusioned by superficial truths. He studied at the University of Bonn, dueling, drinking, rebelling, until his father forced him to transfer to Berlin, the crucible of radical philosophy. Then he encountered the young Hegelians, who believed ideas evolve through conflict, that truth is born from contradiction. But Marx had a revelation. What if it isn't ideas that shape the world, but material conditions? Not thought but labour, not philosophy but production. That question became his life's pursuit. It was the birth of his greatest insight, historical materialism. Imagine society as a vast machine, its gears not made from laws or beliefs, but from factories, farms and tools. The way people produce and exchange goods, Marx says, determines the very shape of civilization. This is historical materialism, the view that history is not driven by kings, ideas or destiny, but by the material forces of production and the class relations they create. At the base lies the economic foundation. Who owns the land, the machines and the capital, and who must sell their labour to survive? Everything else, politics, religion, morality, art, rises as a superstructure built upon that base. Change the base and the entire structure of society must transform. That's why Marx called history a story of conflict, because every speech is defined by who controls the means of production. And who is controlled by them? From masters and slaves to lords and peasants, to bourgeois and proletarian, the pulse of history is class struggle. All history, Marx wrote, is the history of class struggles. In the modern world, the two greatest antagonists are clear. The bourgeoisie, who own the means of production, and the proletariat, who own nothing but their labour. Capitalism, he agreed, was both magnificent and monstrous, a system that unleashed innovation and destruction in equal measure. It created global trade, industry and progress, but only by exploiting those who built it. The worker produces value, yet receives only a fraction. The rest, the surplus value, becomes profit for the capitalist. This imbalance is the heart of capitalism's critique. It thrives by paying workers less than the value they create. The result? Alienation, a spiritual and economic disconnection from life itself. Marx described this condition with haunting clarity. Alienation. Under capitalism, the worker becomes a stranger in four ways: from the product they create, from the process of creation, from their own human potential, and from each other. Their labour no longer expresses who they are. It becomes mechanical, repetitive, disconnected. Work ceases to be an act of self-expression and becomes a means of survival. Think about the world today. How many people wake up to jobs they hate, chasing money they don't enjoy earning, and to buy things they don't really need? That alienation hasn't vanished. It's evolved. From factory floors to digital screens, from physical labour to mental exhaustion. The tools have changed. The system hasn't. Marx understood something few had before. That the ruling class doesn't just control the economy. It controls the mind. He called it ideology. The set of values and beliefs that make the world's inequalities seem natural. The idea that hard work guarantees success, that competition is noble, that poverty reflects laziness, not structure. It's not a conspiracy, it's a consequence. Power defends itself not only through wealth, but through stories. Ideology is the art of making injustice look normal. In 1848, as revolutions shook Europe, Marx and Engels released their thunderbolt, the Communist Manifesto. It began with 12 immortal words. A spectre is haunting Europe, the spectre of communism. They declared that capitalism contained the seeds of its own destruction. Its contradictions would intensify until the workers rose in revolution. The proletariat would overthrow the bourgeoisie, abolish private ownership of the means of production, and establish a classless society where human need replaces profit. This wasn't idealism, it was inevitability, a scientific revolution in motion, history itself turning its own gears. After the failed revolutions in 1848, Marx was exiled, first from Paris, then Brussels, finally London. He lived in poverty, supported by Engels, spending long nights in the British Museum, writing what became his life's work, Das Kapital. His family starved, his children died young. He buried his pain in the analysis of a system he believed was devouring humanity. In Das Kapital, Marx exposed capitalism's inner machinery, how markets expand, crash, and rebuild through exploitation. He revealed how labour became commodified and how profit depends on inequality. He warned that as technology advances and automation rises, capitalism's contradictions would sharpen until it collapses under its own weight. Marx borrowed from Hegel's dialectics, the idea that change is born from conflict, that every system carries within it the seed of its own transformation. But Marx turned Hegel on his head. Hegel's dialectic was about ideas. Marx made it material, the struggles of real people in real conditions. He believed capitalism's collapse would lead to a transitional stage, the dictatorship of the proletariat, not a tyranny but a temporary rule of the working class to dismantle exploitation. After this, he envisaged the emergence of communism, a stateless, classless society built on cooperation and shared ownership. In this world, the free development of each person would be the condition for the freedom of all. Marx died in 1883. Only 11 people attended his funeral, but his ideas ignited movements that reshaped nations. The Russian Revolution of 1917 saw Lenin and the Bolsheviks attempt to bring Marxism to life. Later figures like Rosa Luxemburg and Leon Trotsky argued that Stalin's authoritarian state betrayed Marx's vision. Across the 20th century, revolutions in China, Cuba, Vietnam and beyond claimed Marx as their foundation. Yet many of these regimes became what Marx despised, oppressive and stagnant. By 1991, the Soviet Union fell, but Marx's influence did not. His lens still shapes philosophy, sociology, economics, and critical theory. And in the 21st century, as inequality widens, automation replaces jobs, and corporations grow stronger than governments, his warnings feel eerily prophetic. Even now, Marx whispers through the cracks of our system that profit still outweighs people, that ideology still blinds us, and that alienation has simply gone digital. Let's end with a question. Imagine a world without money, hierarchy or ownership, just cooperation and shared purpose. Could it work? Or would our nature rebuild the same hierarchies again? Marx believed humans are products of their conditions. Change the system and you change the person. But maybe the revolutions begin not just outside us but within us. Because as much as Marx decoded the mechanics of oppression, the true revolutions start in consciousness, in refusing to accept the narratives that keep us small, in reclaiming meaning, purpose and value beyond the wage. Karl Marx didn't just interpret the world, he forced humanity to see the invisible structures behind it, to ask who it serves and who it sacrificed. He died with little, but left an idea that changed everything.